Hey, it's I guess kind of an unboxing or unbagging. Basically, as you can tell from the title of this video, likely this is about the new. Well, it's new for me. Uncle bracelet, Uncle Straps. What do they call them? Uncle Straps now. It used to be Uncle Seiko, but either maybe they got dinged for using the name Seiko. I don't know if it's something they can't use in their name because it's maybe it's owned by Seiko. I don't know. Or also perhaps they don't just focus on Seiko bracelets and straps anymore. They do stuff for like Tudor and Omega. So I guess it's more than just Seiko. But nonetheless, it's the same person that's making it, just slightly rebranded. And yeah, so I got this in today. And I was watching a video on WatchCrunch. If you haven't subscribed or even seen I'm not telling you to subscribe, but you should. It's a good community and channel. But WatchCrunch did a video. Max on WatchCrunch did a video a couple weeks ago or so. I don't think it was all that long. He was talking about like I think the Tudor that nobody's talking about, or maybe you should be paying attention to. I forgot the title, but it's basically the Black Bay 50, well, Black Bay 39, or I guess 36 is that? And I think is there a 42 or something, or 41? It's a smooth bezel, non-diver Black Bay. And, you know, they just released an update to that on during Watches and Wonders of 2023. It was 2023, right? Yeah. And yeah, not all that long ago. But and the main thing I guess he pointed out was that it was on a Jubilee bracelet instead of an oyster style. I guess for some reason, I guess even Tudor can't use the word Jubilee. Is that right? Or can they? I mean, they're related to a Rolex anyways, but anyways, it's on a Jubilee, and how it kind of, you know, it gave the watch a little bit more pizzazz, and made it feel a little bit more dressier, maybe even slightly more luxurious because of that Jubilee bracelet. And it got me thinking about this watch. This is a SRPJ. It'll be in the description, I believe, but I think it's SRPJ63. Basically, this is the Seiko by Rowing Blazers, or Rowing Blazers by Seiko, the collab watch. This is from basically late 2022, fall. They just put a summer release of some new colors, like a white dial version of this, and 3 other colors, solid colors, without all these what they call croquet markers. Which is kind of based on their croquet style clothing that has these colored stripes. But this was kind of like the most popular one, even, you know, back when I got this one, the black dial, and the new one that just released, the white one, sold out, or the first to sell out. Very popular. It's a good looking watch. Anyways, this is based on the Seiko 5 Sports lineup, and if you know those, the standard version of this Seiko, you know, smooth bezel 40 millimeter Seiko 5 Sports watches, they have basically a dial design that's basically like their, what they call it, the 5KX, like the diver version. Kind of looks like an SKX dial, right? And handset. And I've always looked at that as like a Seiko version of the Black Bay, I don't know, 39, the smooth bezel Black Bays, right? As, you know, the SKXs to the, I guess, the Black Bay 58s or so, 41s, 36s, whatever they have, 37, I guess, whatever they have right now. So, you know, you got the diver, and then you got like a simplified smooth bezel, a dressier, or, you know, all around, you know, sport watch version of that diver. And so, yeah, so since he was talking about that Black Bay, it got me thinking about this watch, how that can relate to to that Tudor design in a way. They do kind of look similar from a distance, just the how the simplicity and the cleanliness of that sports style of watches. And so it got me thinking about mine. It doesn't have that same dial, but it's based off the same case, and generally the main thing is the dial is a bit different, but I think it could still work. And so this comes with the colorful matching strap. I showed it on my channel not too long ago. First time I wore it in 6 months. Ever since I bought it, I always had it on the oyster-style bracelet that this also comes with, and those are nice. I mean, it's nothing special. It's just real typical standard Seiko bracelet. I think they're hollow end links, but they are folded, or no, they definitely have hollow end links, but the links I think are folded. You can maybe see a slight seam if you really look closely on the side of the bracelet links, but they do a pretty decent job of polishing out most of it, so it looks solid. And overall, it feels pretty decent. It doesn't feel as jangly as their older stock Jubilee-style bracelet. Anyways, it works. It's sporty, but it looks kind of ordinary. And I was thinking about what Max said about the Black Bay 39. Let's just say 39. That line of watches are sports smooth bezel version, and I think it could work with this. So I decided to look around and find a Jubilee, because I know they make aftermarket bracelets for this. I guess you can say these SRPE, sport watches. And during my research, I originally was going to go with either the ones from Long Island watches, one that Mark from Long Island makes for his for the SRP models. It's just nice. It's probably the best price out of all of them. It's around $50 or so, 55, mid 50s, around there. Overall, pretty nice. They all are basically the same thing, brushed on the outer and high polished on the finer, smaller links on the inside. And the only differences would be they all have solid end links, and I'm comparing actually. Strap Code has a version 2 that's very similar to Mark's. They both have actually, I'll get to that in a second, but they have different class. Mark has a more standard kind of style. I think the Strap Code one kind of has a standard one as well, but I guess it's whatever they usually use for their bracelets. Nothing special there. But the main thing that was the difference was the end links. Both of those, Long Island and Strap Code, use male end links. So the two, I guess, mid links that would be right here come out. And, it's just, it'll extend the lug to lug a bit. And I just don't usually like the way that looks. It never used to bother me before too much, but then after a while, I kind of look at it more and more. It did start to bother me, and so you just have this extra long pieces that come out and hang out wider. And I want it female, and the only ones that make it is Uncle Straps. And this one is probably the more pricier of the, I guess, 3 options. Strap Code is somewhere in the middle, kind of closer to this maybe, but no, somewhere in the middle. I think it's 70, 60 something, 70-ish dollars. This is about high 80s, basically about basically $90 plus tax and whatever shipping for this. But this made a difference for me, having female end links, and I kind of like the bracelet, the clasp 2. It's the smallest and the most slim of the ones that I mentioned. But it does have a nice solid, milled folding part here. The only thing is not much in terms of micro adjustment, but hopefully that should be sufficient for what I need to do. And if I haven't already, I should show like the this on the stock bracelet. I don't feel like changing out right now because I gotta, well, this is easy to pop off. These are just, it's a button strap. They're elite. I just wanted to put this on rubber just to try, and it doesn't look too bad. But anyways, I'll get to that another time. But I just don't feel like purposely mounting on the stock bracelets just to show you what I've shown it in. Maybe a little video clip here, or some photos that I took of it, just so you can compare how that looks like and how this will look like on the Jubilee in a moment. So I'm going to pause this, get it installed, and have the links adjusted to my wrist size, and we'll be back and I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, so back and got the Jubilee on. It's all sized up. As I usually do, I base it off of how many links to remove, off of how some of my other watches that are on bracelet right now, I know that are fitted well. How's that feel? Because I don't know if my wrist is really swollen or shrunk down a bit. So it's kind of hard to gauge exactly where I should remove the links if I'm not certain about that. Right? You might make it too loose or too tight, depending. So that's why I always reference the other watches, gauge how it feels on my wrist, how loose or tight it is. Then I'll try to size it accordingly so that it matches. And I believe I got that. So here you go. Wasn't too hard. This uses a friction split pin system, rather. So you can see there's an arrow right here. So you hammer it out, knock it out this way, and you insert it back with the split pin, split side on this side down. And that's it. Pretty simple. I don't know. I don't have a problem with those versus screws. I know people prefer screws, but in many ways these are kind of easier because you just knock them out instead of having to balance a little sharp flat head into that space and turn it, and hopefully it doesn't somehow dislodge itself, and then it'll scratch the outside of your, usually it's polished on the outer side. So anyways, what else? Just have to take it in just one notch, and I got about the right fit. At first it was on the outside, and I did it with let's see, usually I remove, because of the way this bracelet sits too, I want it to be flat, and so it's got to be, this has to be a little bit more to this side to sit flat on the bottom, because if this was in the middle, this would jut out of the side of my wrist more, and you'll see that in a moment when I fit it on. But what's I saying? So in general, I usually, regardless of this, I usually end up taking out more from I guess the bottom side, the side that's, I guess, facing me, right, like this. I usually take out more from here. So from here I took out about three links, not about 3 links, and on the other side I took out 1. I tried it with 2. I did 1 first, it felt too loose, then did 2, and then it felt about right, but a little bit snugger than the other watches that I have on bracelet feel like. And then I realized that I didn't play around with the micro adjust at the first time when I only took out 1, and so I was like, because it was already on the outer, so let me put back that extra link, the 2 links, that I put back 1 link and see how that goes. And actually take out that 1 extra link again, and I put 1 back. Yeah, put 1 back, sorry, and then tighten it up 1 notch, and that got it to be about right. Again, solid links, solid links, solid nail clasp. And I believe originally this bracelet for this style watch, the SRPE, the Seiko 5 Sports, 40mm smooth bezel, Uncle Straps made this back then. It's got to be at least whenever these first came out, about 2, maybe 3 years ago. And I saw some people that had them, and I was watching videos, And yeah, the one thing I noticed that was different than just before I bought mine, because I was looking at the pictures carefully, was the clasp. And this is a newer style with drops with a dual point or double pusher to deploy it. And the other ones were older style. I think the clasp was just a little bit longer, and it was kind of a snap or I guess friction fit. So there's no push button. You just push it down and it snaps. I guess locked or secured. It's not really locked per se, but what you would do is just pull it out and undo itself. That's how you basically did it with the older style class, and it had like a kind of a little bump here. And I do prefer this one. It's just not as long, and I also don't like having to use the friction fit system. I prefer buttons to disengage the clasp. So we'll check this out on my wrist. My wrist is again just under 7 inches, 6.9, but let's basically say 7. Snaps in secure. I'm trying to get some distance here so you can see it. I think it's a pretty nice improvement. Of course, the brushing direction will not match. It's just the way it is. I don't think there's any way that really, well, it would be difficult. It's not impossible, but to match the radial, I guess, circular brushing that's across the lugs, right? Versus vertical down here, but I don't know. What are you going to do, right? You can try to do that, but then because technically these parts are kind of moving the links going down, they really should match the vertical brushing that follows the rest of the bracelet, right? So I don't think that's really a big deal. Some people might say, oh, this doesn't go across. Well, it's just the way it's designed. It's smooth going down, and it basically is an extension of the bracelet, the links. So it should match the finish going in the same direction, right? Not all of a sudden going to cross. I would say if there was if the legs were designed differently, and maybe there was like perhaps some sort of a break here, then yeah, maybe you could have done something there and then done vertical going down underneath that part, but it is what it is. It's not a problem. And yeah, looks good. Oh, and I was talking about this. So, because usually this distance here is shorter than the watch to this part of your wrist on the outside. This is usually a lot longer or going across this way. So that's why I end up taking more links there, because I want to try to center this to the center of my wrist. See it through the center of the palm and this part of my wrist as much as possible. And if I err on anything, even no matter the class style, usually I will try to go closer to this side than out. It just tends to hold the wrist, the watch off of your wrist better, and seems less likely to rotate out and away back down this way, especially if it's a little bit on the loose side. I don't like that feeling when it starts dipping to the back of my wrist this way. I really hate it. So this tends, making this part shorter and a little bit, I guess, consequently tighter in that sense, tends to hold it more this way, more upright or on top of the wrist without going out there. And additionally, if you recall the clasp, see how it extends out this way. Now, if I had make a more even removal of links, like 2 and 2, which actually doesn't work out, but you get what I'm meaning. This will shift over down this way more because I added a couple more links here and less removed here, so it would actually offset it back towards this way, and then that folding piece would go out more, and it'll probably get to a point where it doesn't match too much of the curvature of my wrist on the outside. You can see it's not super curved either, so then it could potentially, like, you can imagine jutting out here, and it'll wear weird. So it has to be a little bit more this way, where it's across that folding part. That's where my wrist is flatter, so that works out better. So just an FYI if you're wondering why I sized it the way I did and all of that. So there we go. Nice. I think it's a nice upgrade over the standard bracelet. Although I mean, I would wear the OEM one, the oyster style, occasionally too, just for if I feel like a more sportier look versus something dressier. But chances are I'll still probably, between the two bracelets now, if I have to decide to put it back on a bracelet, this will likely be the one I will gravitate towards more anyways. Alright, thanks for watching, and yeah, check out some more videos coming out